Pacers 2, Knicks 0. Pacers win again in the Garden. They start off up 2-0 for their third straight series there. 2 wins from the NBA Finals. So much to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Saturday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today I ran out of time to record this in the Garden. I'm sitting on the floor of my hotel room, and the Pacers are winning 2-0 over the New York Knicks. Remember when people were talking about if they could win in the Garden? That was funny. What a win for the Pacers, who, unlike Game 1, did not need heroics. They kept the Knicks away. They played well in the fourth quarter. They were guided by the guy they traded for last year. And in many ways, this felt like perhaps the most Pacers win of the playoffs to me so far, as every single player who plays gets the minutes that they got for a reason, did something important for the Pacers to get a win, and at one point or another was crucial in deciding this game, a 114-109 win for the Pacers. Today, we're going to talk about Tony Bradley. We're going to talk about Ben Shepherd. We're getting to everybody because that is what it took for the Pacers to win, and all of those players require, in some cases, lengthy discussions about why they were playing and how they helped, but none of that would be relevant if it weren't for the absolutely terrific, magnificent, unbelievable, whatever word you want to use to describe the game that Pascal Siakam just gave the Pacers. He has been playing so well in the playoffs, and he keeps having these 12-6 kind of games where he feels uninvolved in one half or another for some reason, or the ball just doesn't find him. And what he is so good at is something I got lucky, talked about before this game when looking back to a play from Game 1 where Thomas Bryant absolutely crushed a switch. The second the Pacers identified it, they gave it to Thomas Bryant. He turns and scores. Siakam does that all the time. That's what he's best at. And I mentioned when looking at adjustments for Game 2 that if that's going to be a thing the Knicks keep being more willing to do throughout the series, end up with smalls on bigs, the Pacers have to be ready to get Siakam involved against those matchups. Oh boy, did they. Now, not that wasn't just the way Pascal Siakam crushed the Knicks, but man, were the Pacers ready to get to that. Every single time, for whatever reason, a non-OG Anunoby or taller player was on Pascal Siakam, he got the ball, and he got a chance to score. And he just has, everybody knows this. We've all watched Pascal Siakam all season. We saw him last year play 41 games to the Pacers and help them get to the conference finals. He had games like this against the Bucks to start last year's postseason when he was legitimately playing like the best player in the NBA for 2 games to start that series. When he is rolling, he just has this package of moves that few other guys in the league have. I really appreciate it. I don't know if any of you saw this. Draymond Green was on the TNT postgame desk, and he was talking about how he has felt like in Draymond Green in his postseason career, he has ever lost 2 matchups in a series. One was the Julius Randle matchup that just happened for him in the second round in Wolves Warriors, and one was Pascal Siakam in the 19 NBA Finals. Because Siakam just has these moves, these reactions, these quick decisions that he makes when he feels pressure, when he sees a matchup, when he gets the ball, whatever, that he immediately attacks and knows what to do against. Because he's not, he used to be thought of as this fast spin move dribble, barrel towards the basket guy, and like that was his main thing. He was fast with the ball, but he just has this package and variety to his game that means he can score on like anything, any coverage, anytime. And in this game, he took 23 shots, and just about every one of them came in a different way, even though the theme of how they were coming was similar. He just had a matchup that he could barbecue chicken score on. And he did it over and over and over and over. And the signs were coming that this was going to be the first wow Siakam game of the playoffs. In fact, wow Siakam undersells it. 39 points for Pascal Siakam is his playoff career high. He has never done this before. Remember how great he was in those first 2 Bucks games last year? When they lost Game 1, he was the only good player they had. When they won Game 2, it was like, wow, this guy's saving their series for this team's first introduction to the stage. This game was the best one he's had. 15 made shots. Look hard at the Pacers box score if you have a chance. And tell me how many shots you think the Pacers who made the second most shots made in this game. Reminder, Siakam made 15. The answer is 5. Several guys did it. The Pacers had balance. Trust me, we will get to the rest of the team. He made 3 times as many shots as any of his teammates in this game. They got him the ball when they needed to, on time, on target. Go do your thing, Pascal Siakam. And the signs were there that this game was going to happen immediately. Pascal Siakam scored the Pacers' first 11 points of this game. ISO over his man, spin over a small, dump it off in transition, a 3. Everything that he did in this game. He made 3 threes in this game. That was tied for the most on the Pacers. Generally a good sign when Pascal Siakam's 3 is falling. To be clear about Pascal Siakam's 11 points to start this game, Nembhard had 12 total. Haliburton had 14 total. Turner, monster fourth quarter, got him to 16 total. Nesmith had 12 total. None of the bench guys got to 11. He almost started the game with more points than like every other Pacer had the whole game. It didn't feel like the Pacers offense was necessarily bad, but when you look at the end of it, there's so many things people will and should point to as the story of this game. The Pacers continuing to kind of break down the Knicks defense and all these things that they've done well. The Pacers defense themselves was better. All these role players had nice nights, played in big moments and made stuff happen. But the story of the game, without a doubt, has to be the way that Siakam just absolutely destroyed the New York Knicks. His best playoff game in a Pacers uniform by a mile. This is why they traded for him. No one thinks of Pascal Siakam this way, but hearing Draymond perfectly describe that he can beat guys and react to you with his own package of moves really drives home the point that on this Pacers team that plays, as they like to say, random offense. It's random to us. It's random to their opponent. In some ways, it's random to them. They know what they're doing. That kind of player who has random packages of finishes and can react to what's happening fits really well. Underrated passer, excellent play finisher. And he is the perfect finishing piece, as we've seen for the last year and a half, to what the Pacers do, in that you can't switch Smalls onto him. It used to be that Turner could score over Smalls, was an emerging part of his game, but teams were willing to switch against the Pacers a lot. They wouldn't get killed for it with whoever was at the 4 in the past. Now that's way harder, and teams have to decide how much they want to switch. If you don't, great. Tyrese Haliburton's going to turn the corner, get in the paint. When he gets 2 feet in the paint, everybody knows how good the Pacers offense is, and everybody's finishing plays off drives for the Pacers in this playoffs. Everybody. You do switch, great. You put a small guy on Siakam, you're toast, and then the opposing team's mixing up their matchup so that someone's switching on to Siakam's large, and someone else is open and having a good play. Because he has these skills that fit so well as a finisher, that makes it easier for the Pacers to play random the rest of the game. And so, yes, this was a team effort game. Yes, the Pacers improved in many ways in this game. Yes, they should feel good about how they're playing going forward. All of this was possible because Pascal Siakam was absolutely fantastic in this game. I love the way he approached the offense, and I love the way the Pacers were ready for that adjustment. Everybody knows it's a thing, but it wasn't as often in game 1. In fact, again, the play I used as my launching point for how the Pacers got their big on small points was a Thomas Bryant basket in the first half. Awesome Pascal Siakam game. 15 made shots. The Pacers made 43 as a team. Just ridiculous how good he was, and really on both ends. And he did all that in less than 33 minutes. The Pacers used their depth very well. They kept Siakam in his usual rotations. He added 4 rebounds. He had 3 assists. He only had 1 turnover, plus 16. Remarkable game in what will be known as the Pascal Siakam game. Those Bucks games were fantastic last year, but this was the biggest stage. He's being guarded by OG Anunoby, and he's tearing apart a good, great New York Knicks team in their building. What a performance for the Pascal Siakam game. They didn't need it to come, but there's been a lot of chatter, including for me, about is he a little tired? Can they get him involved in different ways? It feels like some nights he's a little more subdued, but that's just because of the way he's covered. And he knows that other nights it's some other guy's turn to be the guy who cooks. And the Pacers have had many guys go off throughout the playoffs. Aaron Nesmith, Tyrese Haliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Myles Turner, all these guys have had big games. Today was his turn. The way the game flowed, what the Pacers needed was their all-star to be an all-star. And boy, was he. Tyrese Haliburton got named All-NBA. We will talk about that at a later point. It's a big deal. Pascal Siakam was the all-star, the consistent guy, the metronome, as I called it for much of the season for a reason. Terrific, fantastic game to beat the team with the T-shirt over my shoulder. My Knicks and Pacers background in my hotel room is pathetic. I have a little Pacers towel and a Knicks t-shirt from Madison Square Garden. It feels very blah and boring. I'm doing my best to make this road show a basketball background. Pascal Siakam was the road show tonight. We got to get to the rest of the team. A very Pacers game, start to finish. The depth was amazing, and the Pacers are up 2-0 for a reason. So much more, guys, to talk about coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, though, we got to talk about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. What players do you think are going to show up in the biggest moments? Tyrese, Haliburton, Siakam, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How could tracking their trends help you build your next big bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with a same-game parlay? You could turn $200 in bonus bets and add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits. New to FanDuel, perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com. Place that first $5 bet. Again, if it wins $200 in bonus bets, make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Knicks for your second listen. Hoping Gavin and I can get together on Saturday at some point to talk about the series to this point. Can the Knicks recover? I'll talk about that a little bit myself in this show too. A perfectly Pacers-ish game on a big Friday night. They're playing the Knicks national TV. Even if you didn't watch game one, but you saw Haliburton shot, you want to see game two, what's going to happen? This was a great introduction for those fans to the Indiana Pacers. Maybe not the Tyrese Haliburton part of it, but the rest of the team all doing their thing. And this reminds me of games that have happened throughout the playoffs. They've had a couple like this. This was the most depthy game. Toppin didn't quite do what he did in game one, right? He was amazing in that first game. But so many things kind of happened goofily in this game, right? Myles Turner, a little bit of an earlier exit from the game, and comes Thomas Bryant, and like they turn to the benches the times they normally do, and there was some foul trouble for guys. Nesmith ends 4 at the end of this game. Siakam has 4 at the end of this game. They're kind of pivoting around, not different rotations, just the timing of when guys came in with who was just a little different than normal. And then Thomas Bryant's in there. He comes in. The second Mitchell Robinson comes in. Mitchell Robinson's kind of kicking the Pacers' butt a little bit. He plays 16 straight minutes across the first and second quarter. Very un-Knicksy, but he deserved it. He was playing great. In that stretch, Thomas Bryant, I believe, jams his finger. No confirmation exactly what that injury was, but he's flailing his arm around and flinging his hand, and that looked like what it was. And he played a little bit after that, but not much. He plays 4.5 minutes in this game. The face of the Pacers' depth in this game to me was Tony Bradley, even though lots of bench guys were awesome. Tony Bradley, dusting him off. You don't know how many minutes Tony Bradley had played in the conference finals before game 2 of this series? 0, none. He had never made it before. He was the only player on the Pacers that is not a rookie that had never been to the conference finals before. Getting his first ever minutes. They need him on the floor. Turner's out for his usual rotation. They need somebody to sub him. Thomas Bryant's banged up a little bit. They dust off Tony Bradley. If you are a longtime Pacers listener, I talked about this exact moment when they traded James Wiseman. I said they did this because they have to have a 15th player in the playoffs. They cannot enter the playoffs with a James Johnson, Isaiah Jackson, and James Wiseman dead roster spots. They need a guy who can play, and particularly a center. Insert Tony Bradley. Not because they want him to play every night, but because on this exact game, Turner has been fine. He was awesome in the fourth quarter. Up to that point when Bradley played, Turner had been like fine in the series, I guess, but Bryant had been not great defense. He was hurting. They needed him. They needed him to play. 8 minutes of Tony Bradley, his first minutes in this postseason setting of his life, gets a free throw, battles on the glass, had one bad switch on defense that led to a Brunson 3, but was largely like fine and in position to do things on the defensive end, was totally adequate. Got a post-game interview, played well, right? That's the Pacers' depth. And we'll get to everybody else in a second, but that is the face of what the Pacers do. They have guys who are capable of staying ready when they don't play or don't know when they're going to play, maybe more so than any team that I've covered. Like, guys talk about that. They say, I'm trying to stay ready. I'm trying to be ready to go when my number's called. That's hard to do, and you don't know when it's coming, or you're like a little mopey about your minutes. Like, it's hard to be mentally and physically ready to go. Ben Shepherd's done it all series. Tony Bradley, literally his first meaningful minutes this entire postseason, I bet above everybody's expectation. And before I get to the rest of the depth, some of you listened to my podcast with Derek Kramer. I asked you to lean in. I told you to your face, hey, stop questioning these rotation decisions. If the game ends and it's terrible and it feels bad in the moment, we could talk about it. Tony Bradley came in. I got a million Twitter replies. What is Rick doing? Why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. Because that can happen. That I'm not saying that's a guarantee. If you question the process, that's fine. If you question the process, wait a couple freaking minutes, man. Like, anyway, there has been perplexing rotation choices. If they're weird and they don't work, we'll talk about them. It works. Please just relax for 2 seconds on the internet. The other guy that always happens with is Ben Shepherd. That's the guy I talked about it with Derek 2 days ago. Ben Shepherd was awesome in this game. They played him instead of Ben Mathurin for rotation minutes in the second half. Ben Mathurin did not play in the second half. Shepherd hits 2 threes. When that happens, he's just gravy to play. He perfectly fits their style in this particular series, trying to speed the Knicks up, pressure them full court. By speed them up, I more mean make them uncomfortable, but also the Pacers want to play fast. When he can fight like that, when he's ready to go for both halves, and when he's making shots, he fits the Pacers style so well. Him and Nesmith were basically just alternating the wing rotation. Again, 2 made threes for Ben Shepherd. A nice defensive night. Gets off the ball quickly. No turnovers. He was +8 for a reason, right? Pacers depth on display. Thomas Bryant, Obi Toppin, Ben Mathurin, guys people think of when they think of the Pacers bench. We're kind of just meh in this game. But TJ McConnell was awesome. His first half was kind of weird. He's a little too much of the forcing of a TJ McConnell offense where he's kind of going at it too much, beating to his own drum. In the second half, he was exactly what he needed to be. Passing there, 4 assists in this game. 5 for 8 from the field. The guy that this is the guy that every time I talk to a fan of another team, they say something to the effect of like, gosh, TJ McConnell kills this team, kills my favorite team. No, he does this to every team. And he's had a very peaks and valley level playoffs. I talked about that a lot where it feels like he's awesome or awful. Every time he's out there, rough first half, great second half. Today fit that perfectly, but they needed him to be good in the second half. They turned away from Mathurin because Shepherd was playing better, and specifically in this game, they need McConnell to handle much more often and much more effectively without Mathurin. We saw that last year down the stretch of the season and in the playoffs after Mathurin's labrum injury. They relied on McConnell a lot. Lo and behold, he was terrific in this game. And so it was the deepest bench guys. McConnell's not a deep bench guy, but you get what I'm saying, that were awesome and impactful in this game and played more and better than anyone expected. That is what the Pacers do. That's what they can be at their absolute best, is using their depth for 48 minutes. And part of this wear down effect that people keep talking about with the Pacers, the pace they play at, I see a million tweets from people that don't watch the Pacers that much, even people in Indy who are like, oh my gosh, the Knicks look gassed. And I think that's a little overblown. I'm not going to lie, but it's not nothing. And we've heard this every round that there is a wear down effect to playing the Pacers and their pressure and their pace for a full game. And it matters that everyone on the team can do it. John Schumann of NBA.com asked Rick Carlisle about that before the game. Can any player in the league fit in this style? And Rick's answer was awesome and not worth getting into right this second, but it's a worthy question. And so the Pacers showed that today. Toppin had his moments. He made 2 shots. Bryant's battling with Mitchell Robinson. Good luck and stuff. But also the starters did this too. Haliburton called his game. I think he said he stunk on his TNT interview. 14 and 11 is pretty good for a stinky game. And 8 boards. He almost had a triple-double. Andrew Nembhard was fantastic. Hit some huge stabilizing threes throughout the night. 12 points. Solid enough defense. Aaron Nesmith, he hit a 3 in the first quarter. A fan right near me said this is the best shooter he's ever seen. He had 12 points and 7 boards. He's defending Brunson every game that he provides. Better than 50% shooting is fantastic. And Myles Turner, not a depth player. This is not a depth part now. I'm talking about the team effort part of this win for the Pacers. Myles Turner, what a freaking weird, awesome game for Myles Turner, who's had this series where it's like he's kind of been out for a while. In this game, he had 13 points and 2 rebounds. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not his game stats. That's his fourth quarter stats. He entered the fourth with 3 points and 1 board. 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He wasn't doing nothing. In the fourth quarter, they needed him to be great. He was out there against not Karl Towns. Towns barely plays in the fourth quarter. The Knicks, and I think rightly, given how the game had gone, rode Mitchell Robinson much more. Mitchell Robinson plays 9.5 minutes. Cat just plays 5.5. They need Turner to be great in that setting, make Mitchell Robinson move, spread him out a bit. Turner plays almost the whole fourth quarter. Only 4 seconds. He was not in the game in the fourth quarter. 4 for 6 in the field. Big time 3. 4 made free throws, including 2 that effectively put the game away when they were up 3 late. 13 points and 2 rebounds. Awesome game for him, coming alive at the right time. doing all the Myles Turner stuff that he's become so good at. And I don't even think it's debatable because one, I can't think of another one, but two, just given the setting, Myles Turner, his whole career has been known for his threes and his defense. And he's gotten better at the post play, and he's gotten better at quick decision-making and short roll decision-making and all this stuff. He's very good at all this stuff. But every time people talk about his shortcomings, the first thing they say, and often rightly, is rebounding. Rebounding has never been Myles Turner's strength, his worst center skill by a mile. Game on the line, Pacers up 3. Jalen Brunson misses a 3 in the final seconds. The ball is in the air. Mitchell Robinson's on the floor. And Cat's down there too. Myles Turner jumps up with Cat right there. Tip, jumping again and again. Grabs it before it goes out of bounds. Looks around, gets 2 hands on it. Finds a way to see a teammate that he can get it to. Gets fouled before he gets off of it. The biggest rebound of Myles Turner's career. Don't think it's debatable, mostly because, again, I can't think of another one. No one thinks of rebounds as highlight plays. It is what it is. Awesome play, awesome effort, and the broadcast cuts to him giving a few after he gets it, looking around, big eyes, blowing out air, hits both free throws. Humongous play. Given that's been a thing. I talked about it maybe too much now that I think about it, how the series has gone. But last year, the team that won the rebounding battle won every game. Today, Pacers 32, Knicks 38. That would have been a big deal once again had the Pacers not won the turnover battle by 2 and done some other things well. That was huge in that moment. We saw it at the end of game 1. Knicks got 2 chances at threes to tie it in overtime. They missed both. They only get 1 today. Turner prevents it from happening. Game's over the second he makes a free throw in the final seconds. Awesome fourth quarter from Myles Turner, capped off by him overcoming the thing that he has been not known for doing for a massive play, sealing the deal. Pacers 2, Knicks 0. Pacers and Racers is coming. Let's talk about where this series is coming next. Sprinkle in a few more thoughts about the game to close out this weekend. Locked on Pacers. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Thunder, Locked On Wolves, your second listen. My computer's rattling so much it's sitting on a luggage rack. I apologize if you're watching on YouTube for the herky-jerky camera. Let's keep going here. It's happening. Everyone's favorite thing to say and do 2 years in a row, except more directly this year, Pacers and Racers. If you were a listener who is not from Indiana and has no idea what the heck I'm talking about, Indy 500 and Pacers Knicks Game 3 the same day. On Sunday. Fever Liberty the day before. Great Indy sports weekend incoming. Great. One of the biggest news Indy sports weeks and game Indy sports weeks maybe ever just finished this week. Unbelievable times in Indianapolis. Pacers and Racers on the same day. Tyrese Haliburton joking that fans who maybe consume a lot of 21 plus liquid maybe at the game Sunday night, the race early in the day, Pacers at night, will be an awesome atmosphere for Pacers Knicks Game 3. In downtown Indy. If you're going, be wary of traffic. There's going to be a lot of people in Indy. A lot of people. My favorite stat is that just IMS, the speedway where Game 5, where the Indy 500 becomes the 3rd largest city in Indiana the day of the race. No one cares about the race. You're here for the Pacers. The reason that's relevant is because it's going to be rocking Game 3 atmosphere. And here's what the Pacers have done every series they played this year. Game 1 win, Game 2 win, feeling good. Game 3, whoa, what just happened? Get smoked. And you react as a fan this way. Everybody does. Players feel it a little bit too, where when you win, it feels like you're unstoppable. Nothing can beat you. You got the playoffs figured out. This is so great. Top of the world. And when you lose, it feels like you'll never win again and things are terrible. And you got to make a million adjustments and change everything. And to the Pacers' credit, they've had this adjustment response superpower the whole playoffs. They've won every Game 4, but Game 3 is coming. Last year, Pacers Knicks. Games 1 and 2 go to the Knicks. Game 3 was huge. Andrew Nembhard hits the shot of his career to that point, probably still the shot of his career, and they win Game 3, and it changes the series. It's never over. Pacers won from down 2-0 last year against the Knicks. Now, granted, they lost 2 games on the road. They never relinquished home court advantage, blah, blah, blah. But it's a different scenario. But it's not over. The Knicks are good, right? They beat the Celtics. They've come back from a million huge deficits. Now, the Pacers being this good in the clutch has been kind of a thing that's gotten in the Knicks' way because they've been a very good clutch team in the playoffs and they're playing not the Pacers. And the other thing I would point out, the Knicks are 3-5 in Madison Square Garden in the playoffs and have been awesome on the road. I think they've won every road game except for Game 5 against the Celtics. They won in Detroit 3 times, so that's 3-0. And then they went 2-1 against Boston. They have been excellent on the road. So have the Pacers. The Pacers now are one of 9 teams in NBA history to win 6 straight road playoff games, and the first one since the 1995 Rockets to do so as a seed 4 or worse. What they're doing on the road is unprecedented, but the Knicks have also been awesome on the road, and that is my point to say. Pacers and Racers should be awesome. It's going to be an epic 5 sports days in Indy between Fever Liberty Saturday and Game 4 on Tuesday. But this is, as great as the Pacers have to feel about going home up 2-0, there's been a lot of reporting about a home court advantage has been less valuable in this playoffs and recently than basically any time in NBA history. And the Knicks have been good on the road, and the Pacers have lost Game 3s all throughout the playoffs. Huge games coming up, massive. They cannot rest. They cannot rest their focus, anything like that. To their credit, they say the right things, but they've been smoked by some desperate teams in Game 3. I think coming out strong in that game will be very important. The crowd will be an important part of that. I like the way Rick Carlisle's approached this when talking to us about this series. Like, he's talked about the escalation of every game in the playoffs being harder than the last. He is talking about this series as a 13-day grind. From game 1 to the final game, every other day teams are playing, so it's 1, 3, 5, and blah, blah, blah. So every day he says, good win, that's great. Like, this is day 3 of 13. That's what he's calling this series. That's a good way for the Pacers to focus on this. Like, as good as it feels to be up 2-0, in theory, they have 10 more days of what they're doing to close this out, and they have to keep playing well. Decidedly not over. Lots of stuff still coming that will be important in Game 3. I'll talk a little bit of adjustments with Gavin tomorrow, but credit to the Pacers. They were great in this game. They've been crushing that Knicks starting 5 that everybody talked about, including me before the series, that hasn't been very good. They've struggled with some mix and match groups, but have found their footing with great depth play. Everybody's given them what they need at some times in the series. In Game 1 and Game 2 are both, and they're winning 2-0 in the conference finals, and they're 2 games from a trip to the NBA finals. What a turnaround for the Pacers season this was. I will close today out by saying Tyrese Haliburton, All-NBA, he made it. The hints of this came a couple times late in the season. One, because he played absolutely fantastic from the NBA Cup onward and really was great, even more so after the All-Star break. A lot of people talked about it, including me. Could this be possible? The real reason that this became even likely was when Jaylen Brown and Kevin Durant and a few other guys became ineligible because of the 65-game rule. Tyrese Haliburton finishes 13th in voting. So James Harden and J-Dub both made All-NBA. They're both below him in the voting. Well-deserved. He had a great close to the season. He's been a top 10, 15, whatever, maybe even a smaller than that number for a good chunk of this season. The Pacers have the 4th best record in the NBA since the NBA Cup. Yes, his first 20 games were bad. Yes, I wondered if the first impression would hold him back, but he made it, and he deserved to make it. No immediate financial changes. A lot of people have questions about that because obviously last year him making All-NBA had immediate, huge financial changes for the Pacers, but still a big deal. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but guys who finished their rookie contract on a team, which Haliburton did with the Pacers, are eligible for the Supermax after their 7th season if they make All-NBA in either their 5th and 6th season or in their 7th season. So now by having this honor, if Tyrese Haliburton makes an All-NBA team in either next season or the season after that, he'll be Supermax eligible after 2026-27, and only the Pacers can offer that. If they get another advantage to keeping him around, obviously that's good news. He's a fantastic player. Did not play great today by his own admission, but was good enough. The Pacers were great. They're up 2-0, and they play again on Sunday. Tomorrow, Gavin Shaw is going to be back, assuming we can figure out time to do it, talking about the series so far, where this goes next for the Pacers and Knicks. Knicks should probably change their starting lineup, and where else the series could flow from here. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tony R. East. This podcast has a Twitter account. It's at Locked On Pacers, and an Instagram account with the exact same handle. Thank you all so much for listening today. We will see you tomorrow.